love to got a magnet. Love to tell don't you grab it. Hey guys, so I know I'm kinda late to the party on this one, like really late, but now that the dust has settled from the cultural firestorm that surrounded the publicity and release of Ghostbusters 2016, I think now is the perfect time to present my theory on why what should have been a piece of forgettable and disposable entertainment became a lightning rod of gender politics and launched a million think pieces. Now, first I know what you're probably thinking. I thought this channel was only going to be about the animes and the mangas. Well, you're wrong. It's only going to be like 90% of the stuff that I do. But I'm going to do other stuff as well. But, you know, in truth, this channel is mostly a medium for me to make videos on whatever the hell I find interesting to talk about in the entertainment world. But fear not, I'm still probably going to be doing a lot more manga and anime stuff. So, Ghostbusters 2016. The conventional argument supported by the red pill half of the internet was that the film was defiling the boy-centric classic of Ghostbusters with lame feminist propaganda and Melissa McCarthy fat jokes. While the left decried this dismissal of the film as being fueled by nothing but vile misogyny, spewed by basement-dwelling beta male trolls whose only contact with boobs is via masturbating to their sexy night elf avatars in World of Warcraft. In many ways, Ghostbusters offered a sneak peek into what would become the dialogue of the 2016 election that would follow a few months later, but unlike the election, Ghostbusters 2016 was quickly forgotten and was largely evaporated from the cultural landscape with little to no lasting impact. It didn't help that the film reportedly lost $70 million, completely canning any plans for a shared cinematic universe, and Dan Aykroyd's fledgling Ghost Corps production company. Yeah, that was actually supposed to be a thing. While there have been many videos discussing the topic,
okay, what Hollywood is doing.
The release of Ghostbusters is just around the corner, and a lot of people have been falsely accused of being sexist. This is not necessarily new information.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
The reason I've decided to beat this dead horse is because there is one critical reason behind the mainstream failure of Ghostbusters 2016 that no one else is talking about, and I would be remiss not to get my point across, given how my current life goal is to make a living spewing out opinions on fluffy pieces of genre entertainment across the interweb. So to uncover the real reason why Ghostbusters 2016 was so divisive, we have to go back a little bit, to a simpler time. To the era of 2005, when TV comedy superstar Judd Apatow directed his first feature movie, The 40-Year-Old Virgin. The 40-Year-Old Virgin was a huge success, catapulting both Apatow and Steve Carell into a comedy superstardom. Apatow quickly became a legend in the comedy world. Sure, he'd had a cult following from his TV shows like Freaks and Geeks and Undeclared, but now everyone wanted to buy what he was selling, and his entourage of writers, directors, and producers quickly took the world by storm and completely changed the landscape of mainstream comedy. Apatow's signature sauce was taking the Kevin Smith formula of dudes being dudes and talking mostly in pop culture references to the next level. His films all featured a dedication of craft that Kevin Smith had always lacked. Hell, he was so influential that Kevin Smith wound up trying to ape Apatow, who started out originally trying to ape him with his movie Zack and Miri Make a Porno, thus creating a sort of incestuous Ouroboros of guys making dick jokes and turning Seth Rogen into a household name. The main thing that characterized Judd Apatow, though, is his extensive use of improv comedy. His philosophy was simply to get 2 or 3 funny people in a room, give them a vague outline or premise, and have them go to town. He'd shoot hours and hours of material for the same scene, with the principal idea that he could take the absolute best lightning-in-a-bottle moments of comedy gold and sculpt his movie from them. He'd also use this footage so he could make multiple cuts of the film, which he would aggressively focus test to ensure he could deliver the best potential product of comedy to audiences in America. And it worked. He was the golden standard of comedy, and his influence can still be felt in the cinematic comedy landscape to this day. But audiences have wised up to this method. While improv can be a great source of funny moments and create comedy gold like the interdimensional TV episodes of Rick and Morty, or What We Do in the Shadows, or just about anything that can curb your enthusiasm, it also has some severe detrimental aspects as well. Unlike a really great scripted comedy, it's very difficult to have long-running gags with good setup or payoff when you're just having people riff from scene to scene. Something like the KFBR 329 gag from MacGruber is virtually impossible to pull off in the Apatow mold of comedy. And eventually, people kind of grew tired of the whole dudes being dudes and saying outrageous things improv comedy shtick. It led to many scenes that all kind of feel the same. You don't believe me? Well, then try my patented Seth Rogen challenge! Here are a bunch of improv scenes featuring Seth Rogen and various Judd Apatow joints. Can you figure out which movies they belong to?
I got a headline for you. Mean Dean doesn't realize that frat is bad for everyone.
You gotta get out there and talk to her. Why would you do that?
What do you mean, why would I do that? I'm trying to hook you up.
Well, I'm laying groundwork, man. I got a 3-month plan. You can't just throw me into this.
I'll give you 10 days on your 3-month plan.
No, I need 80 more days than that.
I didn't know. You're supposed to take 6 shits a day.
That's not true.
It
You're
is
supposed
true.
to shit twice a day.
No, that's not true. That's what they used to think. Now they know you're supposed to shit 6 times a day.
Why? No, look. Okay, if Red tells Ted's guys about my name, then they'll go to my apartment, and there, I have Angie's name, and they can put that all together, and they'll find her. Let's go.
And here are the results. See what I mean? They all just kind of blend together. In some ways, Judd Apatow realized this himself and tried to challenge his house style with the dramedy Funny People. But his dramatic cancer gamble with Adam Sandler didn't pay off, and audiences largely ignored the film in droves. Apatow wouldn't direct another film for nearly 4 years after, until he returned to the director's chair with This Is 40, which audiences also kind of hated. But since then, he's moved away from producing films about schlubby man-children to bringing gender equality and putting his considerable weight behind bringing us schlubby woman girls like Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer. One of the people who benefited the most via the house that Apatow built was, of course, Paul Feig, whose humor is also based on a great deal of improv comedy, which can be seen in his films like Bridesmaids, The Heat, and Spy. Nobody particularly cared that The Heat was a send-up of buddy cop movies, or that Spy was taking on spy capers like James Bond or Jason Bourne. These films were largely skewering very broad genres, but if you want to see a direct comparison of improv comedy versus something more cinematic and scripted, then I'd recommend a double feature of The Heat alongside Edgar Wright's Hot Fuzz, to see which you find more memorable, given that they're both riffing on the same kind of material. Now here's where we get back to Ghostbusters. The biggest problem isn't that the cast is all women, it's the fact that Ghostbusters' style of comedy is very specific. The humor is very dry.
Do you have any hobbies?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Sarcastic.
Not gonna lose the house. Everybody has 3 mortgages nowadays.
And smarmy.
Is this true? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
This is pretty much the exact opposite of the very loose Apatow style of comedy. It's like trying to mix oil and water. This is why people had such an adverse reaction to the controversial first trailer. Most couldn't quite articulate why the jokes weren't landing, but sort of knew in their heart that it just didn't feel right. Most of the humor is based on very loose, broad comedy that felt incredibly out of step with what Ghostbusters should be. If Paul Feig was doing a riff on supernatural movies and called it Spirit Hunters or something generic like that, no one would have batted an eye. In the cinematic landscape, though, Ghostbusters is quite the rare beast. It's a mythical chimera of genre blending that's incredibly hard to pull off. The real key to its success is the fact that even if you took out every single joke from the movie, you'd still have an engaging action horror movie, complete with its own mythos, monsters, and unique action set pieces. If you need a point of comparison between the two films, look no further than the first ghost encounter towards the beginning.
Exactly as I say. Get ready. Ready?
Get her!
Aaron Gilbert, Doctor of Particle Physics at Columbia.
One plays the horror straight, while the other one mostly turns it into a big gag. It's very, very difficult to make a comedy and mix it together with another genre like sci-fi or horror. The fact that we generally get so few of these movies is proof enough. This is kind of sad, but the closest thing I can think of that comes close to replicating the tone and feel of Ghostbusters is probably Men in Black. You're hating me right now, but you know I'm right about this. Men in Black is the closest we ever got to getting a new Ghostbusters, but when was the last time you ever saw a Men in Black cosplayer? Probably never. In some ways, you can't really blame Paul Feig and the rest of the cast of the film. They delivered exactly what they were paid to do. Paul Feig took the exact same approach as he did with The Heat and Spy, and Sony figured that would be fine. People love what Chris Lord and Phil Miller have done with 21 Jump Street. They also have a very similar, loose improvisational style. That's pretty much exactly what Paul Feig does. And reflecting upon the original Ghostbusters, Paul Feig admitted that when he saw the first one, he just thought it was a funny movie. He didn't realize that the story was an important component to the film's success. I can't find the interview, but I remember stumbling across some statement where he admitted that his Ghostbusters barely had a story because he didn't think it was important.
Someone is creating a device that amplifies paranormal activity, and we might be the only ones who can stop it. Holtzman!
Which is super apparent because the film doesn't really give a shit about setting up its universe or even the villain, except for having him being a hateful basement troll who turns into an evil version of the Ghostbusters logo. The Ghostbusters are not superheroes. Half of the appeal and humor of the original is the fact that they're not much more than glorified exterminators. But instead, the big crowd-pleasing moment in Ghostbusters 2016 is when the Ghostbusters charge into Times Square and start murdering ghosts with all of their gadgets like a bunch of superheroes. This movie was basically made by people who didn't really understand the cinematic DNA of the first one outside of the basic surface level aspects. But again, let me reiterate, everyone involved delivered exactly what they were hired to make. Blame Sony more so than anyone else. Now, before you people on the left side of the fence start throwing the misogynist card at me for critiquing a $140 million corporate product designed to serve the purpose of IP brand renewal, let me make this point. I can scientifically prove that Ghostbusters 2016 would still have been just as aggressively mediocre if it was made with an all-male cast. How do I know this? Because there's a movie that's pretty much the contemporary equivalent of what a male-focused Ghostbusters 2016 would have looked like, and it's called The Watch. Don't remember it? Let me give you a quick reminder.
There is an alien invasion happening. They're among us. That's why I founded the Neighborhood Watch.
Jackets for the watch.
Tiger with wings.
A tiger, flames, and wings all in the same logo. It's like the Chinese symbol for shut up and dance.
I found something. Nobody touches this ball until we figure out what it is.
Whoa! Die! Die!
This thing's a goner for sure.
It's a snapper with the lizard man. Here we go. Oh, that looks good.
Yeah. Tell me I'm wrong. That's pretty much exactly how a modern Ghostbusters with dudes would play out. Tell me I'm wrong. Just replace the aliens with ghosts, and you get the exact same goddamn thing. Even the original director of Ghostbusters, Ivan Reitman, wasn't able to reclaim the magic of the first movie, and he tried to do it again and again with Ghostbusters 2, Evolution, and My Super Ex-Girlfriend, but he could never quite capture the magic and the Zeitgeist of the first movie, and chances are he never will. The closest that we've ever come to recapturing that magic is probably Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead and Joss Whedon's Cabin in the Woods. What these two films share in common is the fact that the humor never comes at the expense of the genre elements, and they're played relatively straight. Sadly, we might not ever get a true successor to Ghostbusters, but hopefully in the future we'll continue to see promising filmmakers experiment with combining different genres to give us the next piece of awesome cinema. And also, for the love of Christ, stop trying to force cinematic universes. Ghost Corps? Seriously? Ghostbusters was never going to be a cinematic universe. Not everything is going to be Marvel, unless it's the One Piece cinematic universe, because, mark my words, that's happening. Hey, thanks so much for watching the video. This was a lot of fun to make. This is something I wanted to, make a video on for a very, very long time. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something a little bit new that maybe you didn't quite know about the creative process behind Ghostbusters 2016, and maybe I shed some new light on a controversy that nobody really cares about anymore. But I cared enough to make this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Of course, like, comment, subscribe, as I always ask. Hope you appreciated this, even though it wasn't, necessarily an anime or manga content. I have lots of interesting opinions on things I like to read and watch, which I will hopefully share with you more. And if you're interested, I've included links to many of the movies I mentioned in the video. They're down below with my Amazon affiliates. So if you want to help support this channel and watch some movies, click on those links and go enjoy them, and I'll get a small little, taste of the revenue, and everyone can be happy. So thank you so much for watching this video. And of course, I appreciate your support, and I'm glad to see that this is growing. It's nice to see my work validated. So I will have one of two videos which I'll be doing next. One is on a comic that I absolutely love that nobody is reading. I think I might do that one first. And then another video is on Max Landis, who's a personality I've wanted to talk about for a long time. And then after that, maybe I'll go back to, more traditional manga style video. But look out for those videos sometime soon. I have a little bit more free time to work on them than I would normally. So I'm going to try and push those out in the next 2 weeks. So looking forward to getting those to you, and hope you enjoyed this video. And again, thank you so much for your time and watching.